I'm Holly.
I'm Leslie.
And we would be dead. Hey, Leslie.
Hey, Holly.
Hey, Fiends. It's our favorite time of year again.
Yay!
I hope you wore your green and were sure to watch out for leprechauns because it's time for our St. Patrick's Day episode.
Finally.
Yes. We had a live where we did all of our mythology and stuff, and that was super fun. And if you weren't there, you missed out.
You did.
It was really fun.
But maybe you watched it afterwards.
Maybe you did. And if you did, let us know. It was such a fun combination of just like whatever wild stuff we had.
Well, we were trying to figure out this new video format too.
Boy.
So if you see that, it was a whole thing. And then we went over to TikTok for a while, and then we found out we were recording for a while.
Yeah, we stayed on TikTok the whole time. So if you're not following me, at least me right now, Holly Would Be Dead on TikTok, you're going to miss it out. I'm going to try and do more live stuff because I can. So maybe I'll just...
You know what, Holly? You can.
I can.
You can do it.
And I should. TikTok keeps telling me to. They keep threatening to pay me if I do. So maybe that'll happen. Who knows? Anyway, this year we will once again go back in time to bring you another perplexing Irish case. This time we're going to travel to the year 1852 to discuss the mysterious death of Sarah Maria Louisa Kirwan. She's got so many names.
Sure does.
Better known as the Murder on Ireland's Eye. Yes, which is the name of an island. We're not talking about an actual eye, so you can all relax. Okay. Eyeballs make a lot of people queasy.
Sure, okay.
When people are like, I'm tough, but my one exception is half the time it's eyeballs.
Yeah.
So, gonna be okay. Well, technically, this case was solved. The blurry verdict, changing sentence, and inconsistent evidence led many to wonder if justice had ever been properly served. And this is a trial of the century case, which means there are a lot of sensational, dramatic news articles dotted with very colorful, old-timey language, which we love, but can be a little hard to get through. And it also means that the straight-up facts are a little bit harder to come by. Sifting through all that pearl-clutching gossip was quite a feat, if I do say so myself.
Sure.
I spent hours staring at my computer screen, wondering about all manner of things like how much sand got trapped in Victorian bathing stockings and why do men get away with so much bullshit.
And this is why it takes a while to write an episode.
It sure does. And the world may never know. But all that wondering did leave me with quite the headache from hours spent furrowing my brow and, if I'm being honest, dry skin and some wrinkles on my forehead.
Yeah.
The blue light for all that time, not good for your face. It's not pretty. How about you, Leslie? How are you faring?
Not well.
You had your own perplexing things to look up this week.
I did.
Yeah.
And they were scary.
They're gonna be scary. So
they were so scary.
Get ready for being scared, you guys. Well, I've tried everything I can think of to bring a little color back into my cheeks, but nothing seems to work. I feel like I'm all out of options. Unless, well, don't tell anyone, but I have heard whispers of a super secret ingredient as of late that may be able to cure all of our problems really fast.
Oh my God.
Which is what we want, right? I've heard that all we need are just a few precious drops of validation.
We're dying now.
Oh no!
Ooh, Trixie, you got a little.
Trixie, you're soulful this year.
Wow.
She's here. I'm looking at her seat right now.
Yes, hi,
I know she's sitting right next to Leslie.
Hi.
She was feeling bassy.
Just a little bassy. Hey.
Oh my goodness. That's better. And best of all, Trixie and Leslie, our friends can give us that precious ingredient totally free of charge.
Shut the front door. How?
But how? You must be asking yourself. I should expect it, and I never do. Well, I will tell you. Simply head on over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star rating and or a friendly review. It really is the only way to move this podcast forward. Ratings and reviews equal attention. Attention equals support. And support equals more and better content for all of you.
How wonderful.
Isn't it just? But if you just can't wait for more We Would Be Dead in your life, don't worry. You don't have to.
Yeah.
You can support us over on Patreon. There, for just a few dollars a month, you will gain access to our entire catalog of 30-minute horror movies, our special minisodes, our weekly after show Host Mortem, which is available in both video and audio formats. Maybe you want to see our faces. Maybe you don't. We don't really sell them very well, so both are okay.
They look great, guys. Go see them.
Oh, Trixie's a girl's girl. We love her. You'll also get a special gift in the mail from us, the opportunity to participate in some giveaways, some merch deals, an on-air toast dedicated just to you, and more.
Wow.
And if we get enough patrons, we can deal with that streaming service and maybe give you some more live content.
Fantastic. Isn't it just, Trixie? It just.
I'm going to say that from now on. It just. It just.
She's a trend starter.
She really is. We also have more exclusive content in the works for you, our beloved patrons. We always do. And if you guys have anything you'd like to hear, see, or do, please never hesitate to let us know. In all honesty, we are here thanks to our patrons. So come on over and be part of the We Would Be Dead family. And as I said, things like new streaming services and new platforms are funded by our patrons. So the more support we get, the more we can do. And if all of that is a little too much for you, you can simply follow us over on social media. We are at Would Be Dead Pod anywhere and everywhere you get your content. You can like our posts, share our posts, like and share our posts.
Oh, that sounds good.
It is the best one. Leave us a comment, post about your favorite episode. Let us know when you're listening. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell your local swarthy sea captain with a mysterious Irish accent. What's their name?
Ooh, Carrion.
Oh, like rotting corpses? Carrion is like rotting roadkill.
Isn't that like feels
No!
Irishy?
Carrion is... Maybe it's spelled differently.
Irish name.
Maybe it's spelled differently. How is it spelled?
Like Keiran, maybe?
Kieran?
No, Carrion. We're going with Carrion.
Carrion is rotting meat.
That's what we're going with. I can't help what the mom called him.
Listen,
that's his name.
That's also like pretty ominous.
Okay.
What are they doing?
What's happening?
I'm just saying. Tell
his name.
Carrion. Woo. Then your friends and Carrion can be... Just sounds like then your friends and a bunch of corpses.
I've never heard that. Where? And I work in this...
Like carrion flies. They're like any kind of carrion, like animal or insect is something that eats like dead things. You've never heard that before? I've said it before, Leslie. You've heard me say it. It's spelled Carrion, though. I think.
Well,
I'm bad at spelling, you guys. Now you're going to know that because I type and you don't see it.
That's what we're going to go with.
All right, fine. They all can become fiends and we can all hang out together. It's going to be a smelly, weird hangout, but you're all invited.
What?
Okay, it's spelled differently. I think that's all.
Look it up.
Okay.
So I have more. No,
I don't know if you're going to like it. I think that's all I have in the way of news right now. Leslie, do you have anything to add before we begin?
Not at the moment, but I will come back. I'm coming back.
I know. All right, then. On with the show. For now. Our story begins in the charming little seaside village of Howth. It's spelled Howth, or Howth, it's pronounced Howth. Howth is a suburb of Dublin that is located on a peninsula that is about 7 miles away from the city proper. Howth is about as old a village as they come. It has been settled since prehistoric times and is featured by name in several Irish myths. I mean, like old Celtic myths. It's been around for a long time. It is home to the legendary Howth Castle, which is one of the oldest occupied dwellings in all of Ireland. And it is the site of a 3,000-year-old dolmen tomb known as Edin's Grave. I looked up how to pronounce that name a long time ago. According to the legend, it is the resting place of the mythological figure Edin, I believe is how it's pronounced. Her story is incredibly complicated, but basically a god falls in love with this beautiful woman. The god then kicks out his first wife to the curb and marries Edin. The first wife doesn't love this arrangement. She's like, what the hell, man? I was here first. So she casts a series of spells on Edin, first turning her into a pool of water, then a worm, and then finally a fly. As a fly, Edine follows her husband around everywhere he goes, like his little buzzy companion. So his angry first wife sees this and sends a gust of wind to blow her away. She is then blown around in the breeze until she lands in a woman's glass of wine, who drinks her whole and then becomes pregnant. And 9 months later, Edine is reborn.
Wow.
Isn't that the craziest story?
That's so much.
And that's when her adventures really begin. We're not going to talk about them, don't worry. But her tomb is in this town.
Okay.
So that's how old the mythology is. And if you're not familiar with what a dolmen tomb is, they're pretty eerie. They're also known as a portal tomb. It is a single-chambered megalithic tomb, usually consisting of 2 or more upright megaliths, kind of looks Stonehenge-y, supporting a large, flat, horizontal capstone or table. So imagine making like a big table out of like giant rocks.
Okay.
And like one end is open and the other end is like closed. And then the capstone can close it off. But it's like, it looks positively prehistoric. And most of them date back to like 4,000 to 3,000 BC. It's old as shit.
Wow.
And they're sometimes covered with earth or smaller stones to form like a mound. Small pad stones may be wedged between the caps, supporting the stones to achieve a level appearances. But in many instances, the cover erodes away, leaving only like the stone skeleton behind. So the whole burial mound is gone. It's just these big rock skeletons that were once tombs. That's where we are. It's a spooky, spooky place. Howth is also home to the Bailey Lighthouse. Its history goes all the way back to 1667, and it has seen its share of shipwrecks. Most famously, the wreck of the PS Queen Victoria. I think we've talked about this one, which claimed 80 lives. The ship wrecked in a dense fog due to the Bailey Lighthouse not yet having installed a fog bell.
I remember this.
Right?
Yeah,
I think so. Over the years, there have been attempts to raise the Queen Mary from the seafloor, but none of them have been successful. The full ship and all of its passengers remain at the bottom of the sea to this day.
Wow.
Yeah, it's spooky there. And if that's not enough, Howth is also the location of St. Mary's Church and Cemetery, which was originally built in 1042. So there's bodies dating all the way back to 1042 buried in that cemetery. I'm assuming it's full of ghosts. Like, couldn't have more ghosts.
For real?
Mm-hmm. Howth, while beautiful, has definitely seen its share of creepy things. With its sharp, rocky cliffs, empty, sprawling green fields, ancient, solitary buildings, and abundant graves, it looks about as haunted as you think it does, and with good reason. But in the more lively parts, Howth is also home to a small but lively, colorful, posh little village. It's been a summer vacation destination for the well-to-do for like about as long as the well-to-do have existed. Right, which is why this week we find ourselves there. Have you discovered something about Carrion?
I did, and I'm really ashamed. Because it's not even Irish at all.
Uh-oh.
Ugh.
Sorry, Leslie.
I blame the book I'm reading.
Okay, I'll go with that.
But it is what you said.
I know.
And it's of a Spanish and French descent, origin, I guess.
Yeah.
People are named it, but it's more like a surname.
Okay, it's a last name. That makes more sense. I was like, that's a shame if somebody sees their baby and is like, you look like dead meat.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, I feel betrayed.
It's okay. You can replace his name at the end, maybe.
Okay.
All right.
We change it to just like Connor.
Yeah.
Liam.
Sure, bro. Liam, that's a good one. There you
All
go.
right.
His name is Liam. Go back and replace it. So anyway, we find ourselves in Howth. It is late summer of 1853, and William B. Kirwan and his wife, Sarah Maria Louisa, who thankfully just went by Maria, were heading out for a picnic on what was to be their last full day in this gorgeous seaside retreat. The Kirwans were a well-appointed couple of considerable means. They had a large estate on Upper Marion Street in Dublin, which said a great deal about them. Marion Street was, and still is, an incredibly rich and fashionable location. It is like big deal. With its large Georgian townhouses, 5-star hotels, they're still like one of the best hotels in the country there. And beautiful Town Square Park, Marion Street has been the home of royalty, doctors, lawyers, writers, artists, and fashion designers for centuries. Oscar Wilde lived on Marion Street.
Wow.
But
this is giving me an idea that maybe we could maybe steer our podcast into more of like a travel agency.
Sure.
So we can still do true crime, but
visit
talk
these places.
about Not even that. Just like, this is how we talk about those places.
Oh, there you go. I could sell a house there.
Yeah. Like at the end of every episode, we could be like, and if you would like to travel.
Does it mean we get to travel to these places too?
Yeah.
Even
we
better.
At least get a commission for the flights.
Absolutely.
You know?
I mean, I'm really selling this location.
You are.
But to be fair, it's got a lot of stuff.
It does.
More than our usual. So the Kirwans, however, were getting bored of their decor.
Sure.
Big, beautiful house. Just like, I'm tired of this. All these beautiful things that I have. Sure, it was lovely and tasteful and opulent and luxurious, but was it really them?
Right. Was it?
Did it really speak to who they were?
I don't know.
It didn't.
Oh.
And things had to change.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But what does one do when they are bored with the decor in their giant Georgian estate?
What do they do?
You're not going to DIY shit in your big dress.
No.
Why, you summon the redecorators, of course.
Well, yeah.
Obviously.
Why aren't they there already?
Oh my God, doing it yourself is for the poors. I know, they should have a cottage just off the property where they can come in at a will. However, as we all know, complete redecoration is noisy and dusty.
I'm already annoyed.
I know, and it just takes like a long time.
Longer than you think.
Exactly, especially back then.
Longer than the contractor thinks.
Every time. It takes longer every single time.
Every time.
And imagine you're like, I need you to hand carve all my crown molding in a new fireplace mantle.
Right.
Definitely takes longer than you would expect.
And if they get it done before the time that they said, you're kind of like, what did you do
You
wrong?
did something skimpy.
Yeah.
I'm going to find it.
Yeah.
I have no pipes or something.
Yeah. My tiles weren't even put on.
There's no tile in my tile. The bathroom has got a dirt floor. This is awful. So, like I always say, if you're going to redecorate, you should do it in the summer and make plans to summer abroad, not abroad, elsewhere.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. Go to your summer cottage. Go somewhere lovely. That is if you don't have like your own summer home, I should say, because they didn't.
Oh no.
Peasants.
Oh.
You think you're fancy and you don't have a summer home?
That's ridiculous. They need to be put in their place.
Get on the right level.
Okay. Let's go.
But they're like, still, we're going to summer somewhere beautiful.
Okay.
And so in June of 1853, the Kirwans made arrangements to have their home redecorated and booked themselves a room from a woman named Margaret Carroll in a charming little house in the seaside village of Howth.
Ooh, a little Airbnb?
Exactly. Basically a little condo to stay in. I would say there's a kitchen, but I'm 100% sure they didn't cook for themselves.
Why would they?
No, there was a staff that did everything. So
Sure.
They just had their little spot. And Maria was thrilled. She's like, hooray, a summer by the sea. She loved being out in nature, the clean feel of the salt air, and most importantly, she loved to swim. This is important. Not only was Maria Kirwan lovely with her long brunette curls, porcelain skin, and slender build, but she must have also been quite fit and strong, as she was known to swim daily at length during her time in Howth. Like, she was a serious swimmer. And everyone who comments on this case or knew her at all says that above all things. Like, no, she swam all the time. And she was a very strong swimmer. And it's not like she was doing this in like an aerodynamic bathing suit like we have now. She would have likely been wearing a cotton or wool like bathing dress that came to her knees, at least stockings and thin lace-up shoes. They wore shoes in the water.
Yeah.
Can you even imagine? I don't know if you've ever ended up in the water with all your clothes on, like if somebody pushed you in a pool or something. It's terrible. And it is harder to swim with all that wet fabric than you ever think it's going to be.
This is why people were so thin then.
They were working hard for everything.
They were working hard for everything.
They really were.
This is what we need to get back to.
No. We're not saying that at all. Don't go swimming in your clothes. Don't go swimming in jeans every day.
Just put on some leather shoes.
No. Don't do it. It will drag you down. It is not great. But anyway, she was really good at it. So let's talk a little bit about Maria, shall we?
Yes.
Maria, who was born Maria Sarah Louisa Crowe at first in 1824, was the eldest of 4 children born to Lieutenant James Crowe and Maria Conan of Dublin, which is funny because her mother's name was Maria. She has all of those names and she decides to go by also Maria.
Okay.
What? Go by Sarah or Louisa. No,
Like,
what are you
pick
doing?
any of the other
Any
ones.
other name? Nope, same as mom. Sorry. And that's the decision they made. She didn't make that.
Yeah.
Her mom did that.
That's so
I
funny.
can't. Her father was a lieutenant in the 2nd West India Regiment. And we know that Maria was pleasant and made friends easily, and that she was widely regarded as quite a beauty. So she's very pretty, very charismatic. Someone that people, like when she's in and around the village getting, breakfast and shopping and doing things, they notice her.
Yeah.
They talk to her. Doesn't blend in with the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately,
sure it's not her like strong shoulders.
It might be just pounding her way through. Possible. Unfortunately, other than that, we don't know a whole lot more about Maria.
What else do you need to know, Holly?
She was a good swimmer. She was very pleasant and very beautiful.
That's all I need to know.
I mean, it's not a bad resume, to be sure. At the time our story takes place, Maria was 28 years old and her husband, William, was 38 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Not an enormous problem at that age, but they were married at that time for 12 years, which means that when they got married, Maria was just 16 and William was a full-grown man. I know we're talking about a different era when this was more acceptable, although I am finding out it wasn't as acceptable as we like to talk about it being.
I think we find that more often than not. It's almost like maybe like royal families might marry at like 16 or something. Mm-hmm. But even like ones that got married at like 14, it's like people were like, ugh, like why are they doing that? And they really
especially if it was a much older man.
Yeah.
If it was like my daughter was 16 and she married an 18-year-old boy, it would be different. But if your kid is marrying, your young daughter is marrying a much older man, I don't think there was ever, unless you were like nobility, there was not much of a time where that was like great. Or at least as great as we have been led to believe it was. Because I encounter it a lot when we're doing old-timey cases, and usually people are kind of suspicious. It's never like awesome. But I digress. I just want us to remember that she entered in this marriage when she would have been a sophomore in high school.
Right.
That is a child. And furthermore, I always think it's strange, and I notice when people defend old-timey marriages between a fully grown man and a girl, because they always say, they grew up faster back then. No, the fuck they didn't.
Yeah, that's so weird.
And it is something that I was conditioned to just read, like, people were mature much faster back then.
Although we say that now about like the like I hear people say that about like millennials and Gen Z or like Gen X, and like I hear that.
But it's, the fact of the matter is that 16 has always been 16. Right. 16-year-old brains were still growing for a full decade back in 1853, and they're still growing for a full decade now. Nothing has changed.
Yeah.
People also like to say that they wanted to marry off women in their prime childbearing years. But that was not then, nor is it now, 16 years old.
Right.
It was never better to get pregnant that young than it was in, like, say, your late, mid-20s. Teen pregnancies are actually more dangerous than those that occur a bit later in life, and they always happen. There is no valid excuse for marrying off girl children. Society was just okay with men being gross about little girls for a really long time.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that is a hill I will die on, and in the world, the way it stands right now, I'm going to have to continue to state it every time.
I can't. Okay, now being my age, I would say it makes more sense to me that like, so just the childbearing age of stuff. I feel like our bodies need, like, we're still growing.
Oh, yeah.
So it doesn't make sense to have something that is pretty traumatic to happen to your body happen before your body has like kind of formed. Yeah. And it does feel a little bit like we are adjusting, like we have our hormones coming in and all of these things. And it's just to learn how to get our body prepared
having
for
one
children.
Period doesn't mean you're done growing. Yeah. It really doesn't.
But like even how our hips grow differently.
Yeah,
like I feel like my body is completely different, like late 20s than it was like at 18, 20 years old. You know 100%,
what I mean? Yes. At 16?
Yeah.
At 16. Yes, your body was very different. And, we like to project that people thought like, oh, well, as soon as girls get their period, that means it's time for babies.
Yeah.
You're not a dog after you get your first heat. They don't even like mate dogs after their first heat. They need to like grow into it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just such an absurd concept that was so normalized in literature throughout all of history. It was like, well, as soon as a girl got her period, she was supposed to go get married and have babies.
Right.
And I just want to be like, I need us to stop just making that normal history. Just being like, oh yeah, they didn't know. Yeah, to some extent they did know more than we think they did.
Yeah,
it was always shitty.
For a long time.
I know.
People were living for a long time.
It was always a terrible concept. I'm not brushing it off anymore. They should have known better. This sucked.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's my rant for the week.
There you go.
And speaking of children, during their 12 years of marriage, William and Maria had never conceived a child. Or if they did, they never spoke of it and the baby did not make it to term. William did insist that they try often, though, because he often spoke about how he desperately wanted to be a father, and the fact that they hadn't managed to have a baby had become a real sore spot for the two of them. Like, he was very like, come on, we need to have a baby. And poor Maria is probably like, dude, I don't know what to do for you. You married me at 16. What do you want? But he thought perhaps some stress-free time by the sea could be just what they needed. You know, they had been fighting about it. William was quite excited to be spending time in Howth for his own reasons, because he fancied himself a bit of an artist. Mm-hmm. And he was looking forward to painting some beautiful seascapes and his beautiful wife basking in the beautiful sun. Here's the rest of what we know of William. William Burke Kirwan, son of Patrick Kirwan, and mother no name, there's always one, was born in Dublin in 1814 in an artistic family.
Nice.
They say not much more about it, but they were artsy. Not sure what they created, but that's the quote. His father allegedly sold art. Maybe that's why. Anyway, William studied painting under the portrait painter Richard Downes Boyer, whose art I cannot find anywhere, but apparently was exhibited in the Royal Hibernian Academy in the 1830s and 1840s. I guess whatever he made did not really survive history as well as he thought it might. But whatever. William's family had buckets of money. I am not absolutely sure how they got all these buckets of money.
Where they kept the buckets.
I know. It's just like a generational wealth situation. But it was at this point in history they had accrued a lot of money and nobody had to worry. But William still worked for a living. He spent time as an engraver, a picture cleaner. What is that? And an anatomical draftsman.
Maybe like a paintings or, I don't know.
Just cleaning pictures.
Yeah.
What is an anatomical draftsman, though? Because that one's way more interesting.
Sure.
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. An anatomical draftsman is, quote, an artist specializing in the precise, detailed illustration of human or animal anatomy, bridging science and art. Historically vital for medical education, masters like Leonardo da Vinci and Jan van Calker, sorry, I don't know that master's name, performed or witnessed dissections to accurately map muscles, bones, and organs, end quote. I hate to say it, but it's a really fucking cool job.
It is, yeah.
It's super cool. I have several anatomical illustrations on the walls of my own house. I have antique ones. They're a really freaking cool relic. And William must have been great at intricately illustrating the inner workings of the body, but then less than great at like pretty paintings of sunsets and seascapes because they didn't really make it anywhere.
Oh,
I mean, they do survive somewhat, but it's all like because of a scandal.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, nevertheless, that is what he wanted to do during their time at Howth, was work at his artistic endeavors.
Right.
Howth, as I have mentioned, was home to some absolutely stunning scenery and wildlife. It is really pretty there. The best of the scenery and wildlife, which was found on a tiny uninhabited island about a mile off the coast of Howth called Ireland's Eye, as I mentioned. And yes, everyone agrees that it is a really unusual name for an island. There's a bit of a story. Quote, according to Patrick Weston Joyce in Irish Local Names Explained, published in 1870, because I guess they're like, we got to explain these names.
Yep. Well, it would have helped me.
It would have.
At the beginning of this story.
The island. Oh no, Karen. The island was originally called Inish Éireann, Éire's Island. Éire was both a female name. Sometimes I think it's modernly tied to Aaron, was both a female name and the Irish language name for Ireland. Joyce says that the Vikings translated this to Ireland's A, or which went to I, which was the Old Norse word for island. So if you roll that around for a while, it just turned into Ireland's eye.
Okay.
So not an eyeball ever, but a fun kind of story. Sometimes it's also just referred to as the eye.
Oh.
Yes, very Lord of the Rings. Ireland's Eye is a popular destination for wildlife observation to this day because you can still go there and you can see the animals and you can see the beach and hang out. It's really pretty. You can see seals sunning themselves on the rocks. They're so cute.
Little selkies.
I know. They have bottlenose dolphins, which we have here, whatever. But most people go there for the birds. Bird watching is a big deal there, and folks come from all over the world to observe the shorebirds. We have shorebirds. They're such a big deal to people.
I know.
They really need those shorebirds.
It's huge.
But people mainly go to Ireland's Eye to see the small but loyal population of lovable puffins.
Oh, I love a puffin.
They're so cute. And it is a really magical place, especially when you see the little puffins on the rocks and the seals and stuff. It looks like a fairy tale. Now, the Eye is mostly just forest and streams and inlets, but there are also the ruins of a little Roman church, a Martello Tower, which was at one point used by the military to guard the coast, kind of like how we talked about Camp Hero.
Okay, yeah.
It's not a big complex like that. It's just a little round tower, but same thing. It's off the coast, so the military wanted to just make sure everything was safe. They also have a large sea stack there. These are really eerie. Sea stacks are steep vertical columns of rock in the seacoast. They are formed by just thousands of years of coastal erosion. So there's just this big tower-looking table of rocks.
Mm-hmm.
Rock. You can kind of see all the layers on it. They're very eerie looking. Anywho. They also have several little inlets that dry up and flood with the coming and going of the tide. It's the perfect place for birdwatching, swimming, and painting beautiful scenery. During their time in Howth, the Kirwans made several day trips to the Eye. They're not new to it. They went out there a bunch. They really like it there. William particularly liked to paint sunsets there. Had very pretty sunsets with little puffins running around.
Love it.
So cute. In the beginning of September, the Kirwans got word that their house in Dublin was all finished. Wonderful. Perfect timing.
Amazing.
Yeah. And so they made plans to return home on the 7th. Determined to make the most of their last day in Howth, the Kirwans decided to make one last trip out to the Eye to spend the afternoon of the 6th sketching and swimming and having a nice time.
This sounds not good.
I mean, it turns out to be not good, but it sounds like it could be great.
Yeah.
Now, to do that, they arranged to take a boat. The boat, a former fishing vessel, was owned and ferried by a man named Patrick Nagel. Patrick made his summer money taxiing people back and forth from the Eye, which is probably a pretty good seasonal gig. He made several trips a day out to the Eye and back. The first, I'm guessing, would have been around sunrise, and the last was just as the light faded. There were no overnight accommodations on the Eye, so Patrick always made sure to keep track of everyone he took out. Everyone who went out, he would bring back in no matter what. And a lot of people, it wasn't heavy traffic. This would be maybe 10 people a day would go out there and come back. And that is a big day. So, according to Patrick, Mr. and Mrs. Kirwan brought along a carpet bag, which we know contained enough picnic food for a couple meals, William's sketching supplies, and Maria's bathing costume. And if you don't know what a carpet bag is, picture Mary Poppins. That's what she carried. Along with the picnic lunch, the Kirwans brought along 2 bottles of water. Bottles of water always throw me off because it makes me think of this old-timey beach scene and then some Poland Spring.
Yeah.
What do you mean bottled water? That's not a thing they did back then. It sounds so weird. I had to fix this image in my head.
Sure.
So, of course, I looked it up. Now, when picnicking in the 1850s, if one decided to bring water for drinking, it would have either been a green or blue glass bottle of mineral water with an attached stopper, or if one were to bring well or spring water, it would likely have been captured in an earthenware-style ceramic bottle or jug with removable cork.
Yes.
So now we can all rest easy. It wasn't a plastic bottle of Poland Spring. Moving on. Mrs. Kirwan also carried a reticule bag. Love that. Which is a little drawstring pouch that is often referred to as the grandmother of the modern purse. And Mr. Kirwan brought with him, I think this is interesting, it's mentioned in one source and then nobody thinks this is pertinent at all. He brought a bamboo slick stick, which is a cane with a sword inside.
Nice.
I looked it up. I'm like, was that common? Did everyone have one? No, they did not. Nope, that was a special fancy boy thing. I will remind you, though, that William is a very soft Victorian gentleman. And rich Victorian gentlemen love nothing more than to consider themselves explorers.
Right.
So he's walking around in the wilderness, this like pretty little island. But still, he probably thought he might encounter a wild boar or something. This is not the hallmark of someone who is going to fight. I honestly think he could never have kept up with a fight. He would have just laid down and been done. This is more like a dad that travels to Disney World with a very intense pocket knife.
Right.
You never know. I might have to open a can. So
I shall heal for our picnic feast.
What if our car breaks down and I need to whittle things or start a fire? Okay.
What if, Holly?
Well, then that dad and this guy are ready.
Great.
But one had to be prepared for a day in the wilderness surrounded by water on all sides, I think. If you were lucky enough to avoid wandering into a fairy trap in the forest, you still might have to watch out for all the mysterious things that could be lurking in the water. Yeah. We are talking about Ireland, after all. Oh, but surely I'm just being silly. Ireland doesn't have anything in the water to worry about, right, Leslie?
Yes, they do.
They do?
They do.
Please enlighten us.
I will. It's Leslie's Leprechaun Lessons. Today is your lucky day. Yeah.
Hope there's a water leprechaun.
Me too. Let's see.
Okay, let's find out together.
All right, first up, we have the Ekushka.
Oh, boy.
Or this roughly translates to the water horse. This is like the Kelpie.
Oh, I love them.
Yeah. This creature appears throughout Irish and Scottish folklore and is considered one of the most dangerous water spirits. It typically appears as a beautiful horse grazing near a lake or river, but if a person climbs onto its back, they quickly discover they can't get off.
Oh, that's right. They're so cute in the movie.
The horse's skin becomes adhesive, and the creature dives straight into the water, drowning its rider.
Oh, I don't like that its skin becomes glue. That's terrible.
I was thinking of like Velcro, like the Velcro roll.
Oh, my brain went right to flypaper.
No, I know, yeah.
Yeah. Both are bad. Both are bad, honestly.
One well-known Irish tale tells of a farmer's son who ignored warnings and climbed onto a mysterious horse near, I wrote this down. Hold on. Loch Corrib. Sure. Anyway, the horse ran straight into the lake and disappeared beneath the water. Only the boy's liver floated back to shore the next day because, according to folklore, how do you pronounce it again? The Ekushka devours everything except the liver.
Ew, why do they leave the liver?
I don't know. That's just the folklore.
Ew, but they're so cute in like the movies and stuff. Why are they terrible?
I know, just like admire it from a distance. Just be like, you're so cute, bye. Okay, bye.
They call the hippopotamus the river horse.
So cute.
No, they're terrible too. They look cute, but they will eat you.
Yeah.
1,000 times more than other things. Vicious.
All right, next we have Ireland's version of a mermaid is called the marrow.
That's not good.
From the Irish word moruda. I don't know. I didn't look that one up. I apologize. Meaning sea maiden. Marrows are said to be a beautiful woman with a long green hair and fishtails, but they wear magical red cap. Oh, like leprechauns.
Yeah. They sound like the Harry Potter mermaids.
Yeah. Called a Cahulian Drua.
Oh, all right.
So that's what the magical red cap is called.
Like red caps who get their red caps because they dip it in blood.
Yeah. That allows them to travel between land and sea. Those hats.
So like Splash, but like with a hat.
Yeah.
Got it. Perfect.
Unlike many dangerous sea creatures, marrows are often portrayed as curious about humans. One famous story tells of a fisherman who found a marrow bathing on shore while she slept. He stole her magical cap so she couldn't return to the ocean.
Oh, no.
She eventually married him and lived on land for years.
So that's the Little Mermaid.
Yeah. But one day she found the hidden cap, and the moment she touched it, she returned to the sea, leaving her husband and children behind forever, which is...
Also kind of more like the original Little Mermaid.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, that's probably one of the more like nice ways that a supernatural creature exited a marriage.
And in the Hans Christian Andersen Little Mermaid, like the original one, she is green.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because they wore red caps and our iconic mermaid is a redhead.
Yeah.
Ariel.
There you go.
Fun. I like that.
Next, we have what is possibly Ireland's most terrifying lake monster.
Oh, it's worse?
Mm-hmm. The Duvahku.
Oh.
Its name translates roughly to water dog or water hound, but descriptions make it sound more like a giant otter mixed with a wolf.
I don't like that. I like otters, but then you add giant and wolf.
It's still I like
it less.
But it's huge. And then imagine the pictures of the otters when they get mean.
Oh, I don't like that.
That's it. Just in
the ones that are trying to eat surfers and stuff. Yeah. Bad news.
Yeah.
And giant is never good.
No. It's said to have white fur, black ears, and an enormous appetite for violence.
Oh, man. They look so cute and they hold hands.
One famous account from 1722 describes a woman named Grace Connolly who was washing clothes along the shore of Loch Glenade in County Leitrim. When her husband returned later, he found her body beside the lake and a massive beast sleeping nearby.
Not a beast.
Beast. He shot the creature, but before it died, how do you pronounce it again? The Duvahku supposedly let out a cry that summoned its mate from the lake.
Oh no. Mate. And she's going to be worse.
Which is a horrifying reminder that sometimes the real danger isn't the monster you see.
It's the lady underneath who's going to fuck you up. We mean business.
Next we have the Vuha. The Vuha.
Ooh.
It's the malicious water spirit. The Vuha.
None of them seem like they're not malicious, to be honest with you.
Is a darker figure in Irish and Scottish folklore. It's usually described as a hideous water spirit that lurks in rivers and sea caves.
Oh, this one's hideous. Poor thing.
Unlike mermaids and selkies, which we'll talk about in a moment,
cute.
The Vuha isn't curious about humans. They don't give a shit. It's actively hostile.
Oh, good. That's what we want.
Yeah. Stories describe it appearing as a grotesque humanoid creature with green skin and tangled hair. You hate that word so much. Humanoid.
I don't love it. Correct.
Sometimes even capable of shape-shifting.
Ooh, so like a fairy byproduct.
In one folktale, a fisherman encountered a Vuha sitting on a rock by the shore. Thinking it was a stranded traveler, he offered help. The creature thanked him politely and then tried to drag him into the sea.
So like a siren?
Yeah.
Okay.
Luckily, the fisherman remembered a trick from local folklore. Luckily.
A trick?
Yes. Okay. Mentioning the name of God or making the sign of the cross was believed to repel such spirits.
Okay, they're not vampires.
Which he did immediately, and the Vuha vanished back into the waves, which is good news for him.
The Vuha was like, this is a shit date because you're talking about God. I got to go.
Yeah.
She's like, hey, you're nice. He's like, let us pray. Yeah. I would leave too.
I'm out.
Yeah, no, that's a weird.
It's going to take long.
That's a weird date. No thanks.
All right. And then the Selkies, the seal people.
Please let them stay cute.
The Selkies appear throughout Irish coastal folklore, particularly along the western coast and islands. They are seal people who can shed their skin to become human on land. Most Selkie legends revolve around humans stealing their seal skins, trapping them on land. In one famous Irish story, a fisherman hides a Selkie woman's skin and marries her. She lives with him for years and has children. But one day, their children discover the hidden sealskin and bring it to her. The moment she touches it, the Selkie returns to the ocean, sometimes leaving behind a grieving family and sometimes visiting her children from the sea.
Is that like the anime, The Song of the Sea?
Oh, maybe.
That has a Selkie in it.
Yeah.
It's one of those beautiful, tragic animated movies.
Yeah. That's right, yeah. Okay. Then we have some lesser-known Irish water spirits. So we have the Slua-na-Mara.
Oh.
The Slua-na-Mara. Yeah, the sea host.
Oh, like a host. Hey, guys.
They are one of the most mysterious water spirits in Irish folklore. Rather than a single creature, They are described as a swarm of supernatural sea spirits and travel together like a ghostly flock over the ocean.
Oh, I don't love that.
They were often blamed for sudden storms, drowned sailors, or ships mysteriously vanished in coastal fog.
Yikes.
In some traditions, they were believed to be the restless spirits of the dead, unable to reach the afterlife and instead forced to wander the sea.
I feel like that's just seagulls, though.
Maybe.
Like, there's a lot of birds that travel in flocks over the sea.
Well, it kind of just reminds me of, like, fog. Like,
That
they're
too.
just, like a storm
If you also had, like,
through.
a flock of birds fly overhead and it's foggy, you'd be like, spirits!
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Maybe. Then we have the Meardrish. No, I said that wrong.
I like their name the best.
They are the sea brute. Both names good.
Yes.
So
not a brute. Not
the
what I thought.
is one of the strangest creatures in Irish mythology. Its name roughly translates to sea beast or sea monster, and it appears in early medieval Irish legends. Descriptions vary wildly, but the Meardrish is usually portrayed as a grotesque aquatic creature whose appearance is so horrifying it can physically harm people who look at it.
Oh, no.
One legend involves King Fergus Mac Letty. I don't know how to say that. I apologize. A legendary Ulster king.
Okay.
While sleeping by the sea, Fergus was dragged into the water by sea spirits. He managed to escape, but during the encounter, he caught sight of Meardrish. The creature's terrifying face was said to be so unnatural that Fergus, I went into Meardrish.
Like, are we Scottish? Fergus.
Fergus. Probably, though. King Fergus. His own mouth twisted permanently in shock, leaving him disfigured for the rest of his life.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's spooky.
And
imagine having shocked face forever.
I know. Awful.
You look like the Scream.
And then I'll just do these last two quickly.
Sure.
So we have the water sherry or the ishkashi.
That's pretty too. Yeah. It's not going to be, but it sounds like it could be.
This is also a lesser known spirit, sometimes called, unlike many Irish water creatures, the water sherry is not always hostile.
Oh, good.
It's often described as a shy fairy spirit living near lakes, wells, and streams.
Aww.
But like many members of the Irish fairy world, they could be dangerous as fuck.
I just love the thought of them like staring into a well.
No, just so
out by the well. Having a think.
Yep. In one folk tale from Royal Ireland, villagers believed a local well was protected by a water sherry. People who treated the well respectfully, leaving small offerings or keeping the area clean,
like
were said to receive good luck and healthy livestock. But one man mocked the superstition and polluted the well.
No! Did he pee in it or something?
Probably.
He sucks.
Soon after, his cattle became ill and his crops failed. Oh, I wonder if this is what happened to the hex house.
Maybe.
The villagers believed the water sherry had withdrawn its protection.
Yeah, well, it would.
Yeah. And
do better.
Lastly, we have the lake vanishing fairies.
I wonder if that's like the wishing well myth, because like wishing well is kind of making offerings to a well. You put money in there, things in exchange for a wish.
Yeah, it could be. And because this one's like, since it was so long ago, they could have just kind of got lost. Like
exactly. Just kind of like, why are you throwing in a penny?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to make a wish for my livestock to not die.
As one does.
Yes, as one does.
All right, so across Ireland, there are legends of entire fairy courts that live beneath lakes, sometimes called the Vanishing Lake Fairies.
I do love that idea.
I know.
That sounds fun.
I wonder if this is like that boat that capsized and there's like 80 people below water.
Just ferrying it up.
They're just
having like a great time.
Just like, we're now fairies.
We're all going to think that.
Okay.
I love that for them. I hope that's what happens.
They all became fae.
Yeah, they're having a great time.
They were saved. They live beneath.
It wasn't a horrible death. They're just all in the court of fairies now.
Yes,
under the water.
I love it.
Yep.
These spirits were believed to live in submerged fairy palaces, occasionally appearing on moonlit nights.
Ugh, they're so pretty.
One Irish folktale describes a young man walking beside a lake who suddenly heard music coming from the water. A group of fairy figures rose from the lake and danced along the shore. The man joined them, believing he had only been dancing for a few minutes. But when the fairies vanished, he returned home, years had passed in the human world.
Oh, so that's like the 12 Dancing Princesses.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
Everybody has roots here today.
Yeah. All right. That's what I got.
I love it. Ooh, that's a lot of water spirits.
Yes. And that was Leslie's Leprechaun Lessons. Today is your lucky day. Yeah.
They're almost leprechauns.
Yeah.
We have to stretch it. It's been a while.
Well, I learned these facts.
Sure.
From a leprechaun.
There you go. Perfect. I think for our purposes, I'm trying to think like what could be on that island. I guess any of them could, but I know for a fact there are seals. So
okay.
Maybe selkies.
So the selkies.
Maybe.
And the vanishing fairies, lake fairies.
Yeah.
Was it a lake?
No, it's the ocean.
Oh. All right.
But there are seals.
Okay. Maybe what was that other one?
And they're probably weird mermaids.
Yep. Maybe the Duvaku.
Maybe. I mean, like, we have no reason to believe anything bad happens yet.
This is just a nice day, a nice outing.
Yeah, I'm just saying there's mythical beasts. You got to be careful.
Sword.
That's why you're carrying your cane sword. We got to just whip out your sword at some point because there might be a water horse. You don't know.
And then you could paint it.
Yeah, afterwards. You slaughter it with your cane sword and then you paint a nice picture.
Yeah.
What a day.
Of how would I use carrion in this?
That would be carrion. You got to give it a little time to like fester and then it's carrion. It's really the grossest thing possible.
Well,
it's like what vultures eat. I'm sorry. I tried to tell you.
Character.
I tried to tell you.
Anyone reading Quicksilver is going to be like, oh.
Yeah.
Maybe they knew.
Or maybe they didn't look up their words. Who knows? Well, thank you, Leslie. Let's keep those in the back of our... I'm serious. Let's keep those in our little brain pocket after what goes on after this. So, back to the story. At 10 a.m., Patrick, the captain of the ferryboat...
Or carrion.
No, in this story, his name actually is Patrick.
Our carrion of the tale.
Carrion in our world. In our world, he's just a rotten hunk of meat.
Patrick would have been good, too. That's a good
Oh, that's what this one's name is. Patrick picked the Kirwans up at 10 a.m. at the dock in Howth and took them out to the eye. He told them they told him that they planned to be there the whole day. So like, we're staying on this island the whole day. We would like to take back the last ride of the evening at 8 o'clock because Patrick's like, when it starts to get dark, everybody's got to be gone. Like, we don't stay here after dark because the island does not have accommodations. There's nowhere for you to stay. You have to be gone.
And that's when the creatures come out.
Exactly. And even 8 o'clock is pushing it because in September, while you still have, I mean, like, I think Ireland is following mostly the same light kind of rules as we are. By 8 o'clock, it would be pretty dusky out. You would be facing like almost dark. So Patrick makes a note of this. He's like, okay, they want to take the 8 o'clock back. They may have an opportunity earlier. Who knows? But I know that these people have to be back by this point in time. Check and check. The day itself was beautiful. The sun was bright and warm. There wasn't a cloud in the sky at first, and the water was calm and mild. William set himself up on a tall outcropping of rocks. There's like a lot of like rocks in the ground that are like table shaped kind of, so you could like sit on a rock and paint.
So many rock tables.
There really are. Not like the tombs. These are just like large, like pieces of, I guess, just slate or rock that you could kind of just sit on and hang out. It's cool. We don't really have much of that, but I like it. Anyway, he sets himself up there to sketch. He's like, this is my perfect environment. I have all of my pencils and books and things, and I'm going to look at this beautiful scenery, and I'm going to do a whole day of art. And Maria's like, that's great. I'm going to swim. Bye. And she goes and changes into her swimsuit and gets right into the water. I get it, girl. That's what I would want to do, too. Now, I believe this island may have had some facilities for guests who visited for the day, like very rudimentary things, like a place to change, and maybe like a couple outhouses. Because if you are hosting guests all the time, they probably needed something, but not much. Nothing that people were like manning. There were no employees, but I think she probably could go get changed somewhere if she wanted to. I'm not sure. This is just speculation of my own based on statements, but I kind of see like maybe that's what they had. Anyway, time passed during the day dreamily, as it does when you're spending the day on a beautiful beach. Maria swam and explored the inlets. She took breaks to warm herself in the sun and eat picnic meals with William and pose occasionally for his sketches. William drew the scenery and his beautiful wife and the great expanse of sea that laid out in front of them. A few other couples did come and go that day, but the island did remain mostly empty for that day, which is just paradise. At 5:30, approximately, a few rain clouds did blow in, and there was a brief shower. Now, if you live anywhere coastal, you know this is very common. You could have the most beautiful day in the world, and then around 5 o'clock or so, it rains for 20 minutes, and then it's a beautiful day again. Happens a lot. And this is one of those like cloud bursts. It wasn't a storm. It wasn't scary. It just kind of rained a little bit. And while that was happening, William and Maria like kind of sat together and hung out for a little while. And then it cleared up just in time to reveal a spectacular sunset. And William is really eager to sketch that out.
Yes.
I know he's like, this is what I've been training for. And everyone knows that like after a storm, you get the most beautiful, like bright orange sunsets. So he was like, hell yeah. He was so excited. But as the day grew later, the light grew dimmer and the temperature grew cooler. And Patrick, our ferryman, had picked up the last people that were on the island. Because like I said, there was a couple other couples that day. Literally, I think 2 other sets of people. And the last 2 besides the Kirwans were picked up at 6 o'clock. They took that ferry back. So at just before 8, Patrick sets out on his final trip of the day. This is like a 10 to 15 minute ferry ride from Howth out to the Eye. Patrick took along with him his usual crew, which was his cousin, Michael Nagel, and 2, in some places their last name is Nangle. I think that might be an accident, but you can believe what you choose. This case is very, very old. They also brought along with them 2 crewmates. Their names were Thomas Stiles. Let's picture him as Harry Styles. That's more fun. Yeah. And Edward Campbell. The boat arrived at the Eye promptly at 8 o'clock, just as Patrick has promised. So he does this all the time. His timing is good. He docks the boat and disembarks to go find the Kirwans, thinking they couldn't really be far from the beach. Now, at first I thought this was kind of strange. I'm like, what do you mean he has to go find them? Why aren't they waiting for him when their boat is set to pick them up? But I don't really, in nowhere is it stated that this is weird. In no sources are they like, he was surprised that they weren't waiting for him on the beach. He just gets off and goes to look for them. Maybe there wasn't a preordained mating spot. What? Maybe there wasn't a preordained meeting spot. But also, this could be a function of the fact that when you're out like on the sea all day, perhaps no one was wearing a timepiece.
Right.
Like pocket watches and wristwatches back then are not going to survive a trip in the water. They're going to be done the second they hit it. So I would think like perhaps they just didn't have any way of telling time. And so really they just didn't know when to meet him. So it could have been that the Kirwans were like, well, when it starts to get dark, we'll gather our stuff. And he was like, it's 8 o'clock. I'm just going to go find them. This is not as curious as it can look to modern people. But Patrick's not worried at first. The island was very small. It's like maybe a square mile, I think. It's a tiny little place. And he thought they would surely be gathering their things somewhere nearby, just like putting on their shoes or whatever, taking off their water shoes.
Yeah.
So after walking a few paces like into the island, Patrick does see William, and he's sitting on a high rock alone. Patrick asks him, okay, well, hi, boat's here. Where's your wife? William says, and he starts to get like kind of upset now, that they had sat together during the rain. And then afterwards, he was going to sketch the sunset and she didn't want to sit there. So she said she was going to go back out and swim for as long as she could while he did his thing. But she hadn't come back. And it's 8 o'clock now. So he says, it looks like it's too dark to really safely be out there in the ocean swimming. He's kind of like wringing his hands and he's nervous about this. He's like, she's going to be back here any minute, I guess. She's not back yet. It's kind of weird. I thought she'd come back earlier. I don't know what to tell you. Captain Patrick is immediately alarmed, but stays cool, calm, collected because he's in charge, right? He tells William, he's like, listen, don't worry. Inside his head, he's like, worry, worry, worry. But he says, me and the crew, we know this island like the back of our hand. We're out here all the time. We will find your wife quickly. I promise. Now, the 4 members of the crew decide to split up to cover the most ground. Patrick says that William should accompany him. He's the captain. He has the relationship with them. Makes sense. And immediately Patrick thinks he needs to look at a spot on the island called the Long Hole. He's like, that's where we need to go if this woman likes to swim. And he began walking towards it with haste. Like he's quick, taking big strides. And William is like kind of stumbling and lagging behind him. He's like walking slow and like huffing and puffing. And he's kind of dazed, which is frustrating to Patrick as he's like, this is like an urgent situation. Why aren't you going fast? What is this? He can't quite understand why William won't like get it together and speed up. But he's like, I have a job to do. I don't know what you've been doing all day. Maybe you're dehydrated. Maybe your bottle of water spilled. I don't know. The long hole, by the way, is a narrow, rocky fissure in the landscape, which is how it's described in most places. But and it leads out to the ocean, which essentially means it's like a little inlet that is carved deep in between two like cliff faces. So it's far down from the top in like rocky cliffs are on either side. Now, at high tide, this area does flood and the water level rises up. And it looks like it's like a pretty little stream to swim in. But it's very easy to get yourself trapped in there if the tide begins to go out. And if you stay too long and the water recedes, you're stranded in the water at the bottom of the cliff faces. So it's like being stuck in a 20-foot pool with 10 feet of water. Which is a, side note, a nightmare that I used to have as a child because my parents have a pool in their backyard. And I used to have this recurring nightmare that the walls of the pool, the water level never went up, but the walls would just keep going up and up when I tried to get out.
Right.
Terrible dream.
Ugh.
And a reality in this place. If you're in this little inlet, when the tide goes out, you are just stuck, unable to exit the water.
Yeah.
I mean, you could go out into the ocean, but there are no beaches on either side. It's just rocky cliff faces everywhere there. You're not where the beach is. So you're kind of fucked. You kind of would have to figure out how to stay afloat until the tide comes back in and the water level rises. And for those of you who don't live on the coast or don't travel to the ocean often, that does take hours.
It does.
It's not like quick. You have like a 6-hour gap between like full tides. And at this point in the day, it had gotten very dark and the tide had gone out. So this little place is now shallow and you can't see super well. So Patrick knew that if Maria had gone to the long hole to swim, they had to find her as soon as possible. William continued to lag behind. And then out of nowhere, suddenly he just cried out. He was like, ah! And Patrick thought, oh, okay, maybe he saw his wife. He turns around to see that no, Patrick just tripped and fell on his face. And he was just like laying on the ground like, help me up.
Oh, God.
I know, which like if you're the boat captain looking for this woman you think could be drowning, you're like, get the fuck up, dude, right? But he turns around, he goes back, he helps William up, and then they keep going. He's like, this is wasting precious time. So Patrick just is like, you can catch up later. I am going this way as fast as I can. I might have to save your wife. So he gets there lickety-split. When Patrick gets to the long hole, at first he doesn't see anything. He's scanning the water, looking for a tired swimmer trying to find the shore or like a place to rest. But the water is glassy and undisturbed. Back on the beaches, Patrick's crew couldn't see anything on the shorelines either. There were no swimmers in the water, and they had been calling Maria's name. She was not responding to the near constant calls. It was very silent. And the crew began speculating that maybe she had gone for a walk after her swim and fallen and injured herself. God forbid she couldn't hear them and she had hit her head and she wasn't conscious. They're like, maybe we should be looking in the forest for her. Things are looking more and more desperate for poor Mrs. Kirwan. And I should add that Patrick went straight to the long hole because this was a place that he had found stranded swimmers before.
Okay.
Not his first rodeo with finding someone stuck out there, like paddling for their life, waiting for him to get them. So he's like, if she's out there, she's tired and we have to get there.
She's in the hole.
She's in the long hole. So after a few more agonizing like laps of the water, Patrick's hunch did prove to be correct. Peering down into the long hole, no logs, in the dying light, he noticed something he hadn't seen before. There, lying on a jagged rock, about 5 to 6 feet out of the water, was a pale white form. They weren't looking on rocks. They were looking in the water. So that's why they didn't see her at first. Patrick's like, oh, shit. I think that's Mrs. Kirwan. So he calls for his crew. Now, mind you, this very small island, and there are notes, a lot of places that do specify the water is still that day, which means sound will carry anywhere. So if he's yelling for them, they are not that far away. Most they can hear each other and come to him. So he calls for the crew. They come a run and he starts scrambling down into the long hole. The crew follow afterwards. William is still staggering behind. He tripped and fell in his little toe hoods.
Yeah.
Or something. When Patrick makes it down to the rock, he sees that, just as he feared, it is Maria Kirwan, and she is lying there motionless. He approaches her quickly, but with caution. And the scene he is met with is gruesome. Maria's lovely face and body are bloody, and there is white foam seeping from her mouth. Her long hair is loose and tangled with seaweed, and her swimming dress has been pulled up, exposing her to the elements. So it's pretty awful. Oh. Patrick approaches her and says, "Mrs. Kirwan," very gently. "Mrs. Kirwan, are you all right?" She does not respond. It is then that he notices that she isn't breathing. And it becomes pretty clear that Maria is dead. Devastated, Patrick slows down and gently touches her shoulder, and then notices that Maria's body and bathing costume are dry. Yeah, on a rock in the middle of the water. Totally
with
dry.
Seaweed in her hair.
Yeah, dry at this point, though. That means she must have been on that rock for a little while.
Okay.
Though the foam around her mouth tells them that her death was kind of recent. So this is curious, right? Patrick and his crewmates are silent. They've never seen anything like this before. It is a fucking terrible tragedy. Finally, William, probably out of breath, makes it down to the scene. And when he sees his wife, he begins to scream, "Oh, Maria, Maria." This is like a very dramatic, awful thing. So he does respond the way a grieving husband would. Yeah. He rushes to her body and hugs her lifeless form to his chest, hoping to see some signs of life, but finding none. Then he starts yelling to the crew to get her clothes. Find her clothes, get her clothes, cover her up. Right? Okay, I get that. And they want to help, but they have no idea where these clothes are. Like, also, come on, guys. It is 1853. One of you has to be wearing a jacket that you can put over her. Like, jackets everybody wears jackets all the time.
Right.
So I'm like, why is he screaming to cover her up with her dress when any of them could have I digress. William says that her clothes should be on a nearby rock. I guess she assumed that she was going to just put her dress on because she was going to be chilly after that swim. The men have searched this whole area. They're like, we didn't see clothes on a rock, because if we did, we would have been like, there are her clothes. She's probably right here. He's like, no, they have to be there. And then this time, miraculously, they are. They're like, oh, we were just here. There was no clothes. Now there are clothes. This is very strange. Fine. They cover her up in her clothes. And then they go back to the boat and they get a sail. And they wrap her body in the sail. And they carry her back to the boat. Then they bring her back to the mainland. Both of them. They don't leave Patrick. They don't leave William there. But then...
We'll come back for you.
You stay there. Can you imagine? But then Patrick, the boat captain, and his crew are kind of like, don't really know what to do from there. It's not like you find a dead body often.
Right.
They're like, I think we need to call the police. They have to investigate a situation like this. We don't really know what happened, but Patrick, and they're like, why don't you let us take you to the county coroner's office? That's who's going to deal with your wife's body. William says, absolutely not. No. We're not calling the police. We're not taking her to a coroner. We're not doing any of that. I need to take her back to my room right now. We need to go back to our room, and I need to wash her body. What?
That's a weird thing to do.
Yeah. Now, I know that at this time, washing the body was a rather significant cultural detail. It was a thing that was always done. We ran into this situation with Mercy Brown. We talked about it at length. The dead are always bathed in preparation for their wake, so they look better.
Yeah.
But usually this happens after a natural, attended death due to age or illness or some sort of malady. It's not usually done immediately after a horrible accident or when you don't know what happened. Yeah. Then, of course, at this point in time, they still want to summon the police. But that's not what William thinks. He's like, no, I got to take her back and wash her up. Patrick thought this was an odd decision, but at this point, he'd probably had enough day for today. And he just did as William asked. When they returned to their rental property, the poor landlady, Margaret Campbell, is meeting them at the gate. And she's like, what is happening?
No.
Yeah, there's all these people. They're holding a body wrapped in a white sail. And she's like, I'm sorry, why are you here? What is happening? And William's like, wash her body. And she's like, no, you have to leave.
That's not in the Airbnb contract.
No, it is absolutely not. What do you mean bring her body in and wash it? Her death is undefined. The police need to address the matter. They need to examine the body. And I did not sign up in my property to have your dead wife. Right. Remember, this is not his home. Why is he making demands? because men get away with everything at this point. But he does. William could not be reasoned with. He is yelling and protesting, and he pushes through these women to have his wife put in the room and on the bed. I would be like, fuck you, man. He says to them, quote, "I do not care a damn for the police or anybody else. The body must be washed."
Okay.
What are you afraid we're going to find on that body, William? Why do you need to have it washed immediately? But the situation had become inarguable. And you know William's not washing that body himself, by the way, which is so fucking bold. Not his house. But anyway, the landlady did not consent to any of this. But she's like, okay.
So that would make more sense to me if like he was there washing her, like crying and washing her.
No.
Like then I'd be, that would make sense of like just a trauma response almost.
No, he said, "Summon the body washers. I'll be outside." I'm not even kidding. That is exactly the situation that happens. And unbelievably, and I think this is probably out of respect to Maria, not out of favor to him, because everybody loved Maria, remember? Margaret was like, okay, fucking fine. She called her friend, Katharine, and a local nurse named Ann Lacey, and they went to work cleaning off Maria. I wouldn't have done it, but they did. And the job was not an easy one. The women they unwrap her from the sail and they look at her a little better and they're taken aback. They're like, oh, this doesn't look right. They were told that she just drowned in the sea, and yet Maria's dry body is covered in injuries. Her face and eyelids are covered in bloody scratches. Her nose was crooked and mashed and broken. Her lips are bruised and swollen, and there was a large wound on her chest that had bled considerably. Blood had also clearly come from her ears, and the rest of her body is likewise beat up and covered in cuts and bruises. The women take note that some injury, sure, if you drown in like a rocky stream, you're going to be batted around a little bit, but they also know this woman, and they're like, she was a very good swimmer. So she wouldn't have been just like floundering around. And you remember, like, if you bleed, you're alive.
Right.
So this is probably not after effects if they look like such grievous injuries, but I could be wrong there. But it just looked to them as though she had been attacked. They're like, this doesn't look like residual scraping around in the water. It looks like somebody was like hitting her.
Right.
Nevertheless, they continue. The women finished in the very early hours of the morning the next day. And just afterwards, the police arrive at the door. Now, I assume as soon as they were finished, somebody called them. Maybe Margaret, the landlady, who was like, fucking, I'm done. Get the cops.
Yeah.
But that is not noted anywhere. Her clean body is brought into the coroner's office by the police, where she was slated to be examined by a young medical student named James Hamilton. There is no doctor in front of his name, for he is not one. This is his first death examination.
Oh, good.
Could be the first dead body he's ever seen, depending on the availability of cadavers in med school. He did not have neither the title nor the qualifications to do anything he was asked to do that day, but he did it. Kind of.
Oh, boy.
There is no explanation. I can't tell you why. They were like, hey, this kid should do that. But they did. And he didn't do an autopsy, to be clear. He didn't perform any tests at all. He didn't even like unwrap her and look at her. He just looked at the information he was given, saw that there was a dead body neatly laid out, and said, okay, death by drowning, and went back to class.
Wow.
Yeah. Not like he measured things or documented things or looked at her injuries or tested her lungs or did nothing. That's a dead body. You said she was in the water. Done.
Wow.
What? First of all, why are the police okay with that?
Yeah.
But they were. They were like, okay, that's good enough for us. And for whatever reason, it was good enough for William, too. Now, my husband, who is also a William, I would hope would be like, no, I need you to do better.
Sure.
That's not an explanation. Like you would think if you were a very concerned spouse. But, I can't judge anyone's grief. Maybe he just was like, she drowned. I want to bury my wife.
Right.
The police are like, okay, here she is. Take her back home. Bye. So sorry. And he does. He takes Maria back to Dublin and has her buried in Glasnevin, I don't know, cemetery. Then he went back to his redecorated home and continued on with his life. big empty house, all those beautiful things alone. She didn't even get to see them.
That sucks.
And I bet she picked them all out, too.
Yeah.
You know she did.
I don't know. He sounds like a fancy boy.
You're right, he does. But this, while this might have been enough for William, it wasn't enough for the people of Howth.
Okay.
To them, the death of Maria Kirwan was more than met the eye. Talk began circulating amongst the people of the village. They were not satisfied with this whatsoever, and they did not trust William as far as they could throw him because, as likable as his wife was, he was kind of frosty and unpleasant.
Yeah.
Bit by bit, strange facts began to surface. Margaret, Anne, and Katharine, the body washers, all wanted to know why Maria's body had been so battered. No one answered that question. No one even asked. Why didn't William go to the police right away? Why did she have to be washed off immediately? If she had drowned, why was her nose broken? Why was she foaming at the mouth? Why is nobody asking these questions?
People never ask enough questions.
They don't, but these women are like, I need everyone to talk about this because they're girls too. They're like, I'm not going to sit down and let this woman die and just not have questions asked about it. They also thought, like, Maria's a known swimmer. And she had been out to the eye numerous times before. This was not her first time out there. It made no sense that she would get herself trapped out in the long hole alone and just surrender to the elements. Why wouldn't she climb out when the water began to recede? When she saw it, the tide going out, why didn't she go, I have to get out now? Even if she didn't notice it happening, there were rocks there that she could hold on to. And if you're an experienced swimmer in calm water, it's not rough water, by the way, you could just float for a little while. She could have kept herself up. And remember, this is after 6 o'clock and the boat gets there at 8. So at the most, she was keeping herself afloat in this water for like 2.5 to 3 hours, which is long, but it's not impossible in calm, still water with rocks you could hold on to. You could hang in there.
Right.
Especially an experienced swimmer. So why did she just get beat around and drown? Like, how did that happen? Didn't add up. A few people then also reported having heard screams, horrible women screaming emanating from the eye at around 6:30 that evening. Now remember, calm water, sound travels, and it's just a mile out to sea. Foreseeably, if you were standing in Howth, you could have heard things that happened out there.
Okay.
Locals said that William and Maria also were known to fight occasionally and that he was absent a lot and could be downright cruel to her. The talk from the villagers went from a whisper to a roar, and it made its way slowly, bit by bit, back to Dublin. What happened to this beautiful socialite out on the eye? Eventually, the talk turned all the way to Dublin's police department, who agreed like, oh, this was not handled well, and it doesn't make any sense. So they decide, this is a big decision too. I've never heard of this happening before. Instead of going right to her husband, they just immediately exhume Maria's body. Okay. They don't tell him it's happening. They just do it.
They just do it.
Yeah. And they have it examined by Dr. George Hatchell, who is a respected and long practicing professional in his field. So now an adult has entered the chat. Thank God. Okay. And this is not his first rodeo. And before we get to his findings, it should be said that the cemetery Maria's body had been buried in had taken on a lot of groundwater and it was prone to flooding. So when they opened Maria's coffin, she was sitting in a few inches of water, which needless to say means that her body had been kind of compromised, at least externally.
Okay.
Nevertheless, Dr. Hatchell carried on his investigation, and thankfully her lungs were still intact. But Dr. Hatchell did not think her death looked like an accidental drowning at all. He said it looked more like she had been strangled, smothered, or forcibly held underwater until she drowned. Her lungs were congested, but not filled with water. A lot of times in like an ocean drowning, I guess you'll take on enough water to just like fill your lungs. This was like, there was stuff going on, but she hadn't like been underwater for a long time.
Okay.
And the secondary injuries she had indicated that she was struggling before she died. He thought something horrible had happened to Maria out on that island, and just like everybody else. With that, the Dublin police were like, well, we got to go to William Kirwan's house and tell him about our findings and question him on the matter. They're like, we want to arrest him, obviously, but like, we've not looked into this any further yet. We have to see what he says, or if somebody else was there, we don't know. Now, while it definitely looked pretty bad for old William at this point, the police, of course, couldn't be sure he had done anything untoward yet. Perhaps there had been someone else lurking on that island. This might be absolutely devastating for him, and so they proceeded with kindness and caution. The officers went up to the door of the Kirwans' Dublin estate, new redecorated estate, and knocked, bracing themselves to see William and have to tell him some really unpleasant things. But it was not William who answered the door.
Who was it?
It was a woman.
Oh.
And she looked confused. At first, the police thought maybe they were in the wrong giant estate. Maybe we knocked on the wrong enormous, beautiful door. But no, they were exactly where they should be. They told the woman they were there looking for William Kirwan and asked who she was. She said, "I'm Teresa Kennedy," as though they should know who she was. And then a gaggle of children appeared behind her, trying desperately to see who was at the door. Sorry, Teresa Kenny, not Kennedy. I'm so sorry. She said she had been, she was with William, his wife at this point.
Oh.
She had been his mistress for the past 10 years.
And those are his children?
And those are his 8 children.
Oh my God.
8 children. As soon as Maria had passed, Teresa and the children were free to move in and they could get married right a fucking way.
Shit, he did it.
The cops were like, "No, thank you. I'm not going to be courteous anymore. Please move aside, Teresa Kenny. We're done." The cops stormed through the front door looking for William, and they find him hiding in the stables behind the house. He was like, "Hey, guys, why are you here for me? What's going on?" Okay. And they're like, "No, I'm not questioning. You're under arrest." They just arrest him right away. They're like, "You're under arrest for your wife's murder. Now you have a lot of cause."
Wow.
Yeah, It turns out that for 10 years, he had a secret double life with Teresa.
And Teresa had 8 kids in 10 years?
Kids. She was just popping them out left and right. And his wife could not have one. Yeah. Later, he will say, "Oh, well, she knew about my mistress. She knew about this. We got together." This is true. They got together just a few months after Maria and William got married. He started off with Teresa. And when he said he was at work, when he was busy, when he left the island, when they were there for the summer to go do business, he was with Teresa. He had a dedicated double life. He lived with one family and then he went home and would spend time with his wife. Sometimes he'd have to go on business trips where he spent days or weeks away. That was when he was with his other family.
Yeah.
What? The police were like, "Yeah, you killed your wife."
Wow.
They take him to jail for his wife's murder on the spot. Teresa and her 7 children stand there looking confused. 8 children, sorry. Come on, girl. I need you to catch up.
Yeah.
You can't be that stunned, okay? You've been around this whole time. Now, the trial that ensues after this is an absolute public clusterfuck. Because of course it would be. These are rich people.
Yeah.
And this guy had clearly she's not as rich and amazing as they are if she's his secret girlfriend with 7 to 8, depending on the account you read, 7 to 8 children, all illegitimate. You're not living in polite society. There's no way. She's living secretly somewhere.
Right.
So they get to trial and the prosecution, this is pretty much a slam dunk for them. They're like, "Listen, you and your wife were the only people out on the island when she died because according to your testimony and everything else, the last point in time that you saw her was just after 6 o'clock. And Patrick Nagel, the ferryman, picked up the last 2 other people from that island at 6 o'clock. You are alone on the island with your wife. She is covered in injuries. She was mysteriously missing. You said she drowned, but she was dry. The medical report from an experienced doctor says it looks like she had met with some violence. The women who you insisted wash her body noticed a ton of curious injuries on her. You didn't report this to the police right away. You weren't cooperative when you did. I feel like you killed her." And then the slam dunk is, as soon as she was in the ground, you brought your second family into your marital home. You killed her. Prosecution's pretty airtight. The defense initially, this is very funny to me. Initially, his whole defense was, "Well, as you can see by this painting, I was drawing when she died. It is sunset. I was drawing sunset. How could I be drawing and also murdering my wife?" Case closed.
Right.
And they were like,
very different mindsets.
No. Yeah. They were like, "No, thank you. I don't think that's correct." But then eventually they do put a little bit of a monkey wrench in the prosecution's case when the defense drops the bomb that, I don't think this is a bomb, but they did. They're like, "Well, her father has epilepsy." Dun, dun, dun. Had she ever had a seizure in her life? No, she has not. But her father did. And she was found with foaming at the mouth.
Foaming, yeah.
So they're like, well, it stands to reason that she had a seizure and drowned. And she had a very violent seizure and it just beat up her whole body everywhere in the sea. And the medical professional that they had brought aboard had to be like, well, I mean, like, yes, that is possible. I can't say it's impossible that this woman had a seizure near the rocks in the water and fell from the cliff or something and drowned. I can't say that that didn't happen. It could have. It is just not very likely. And she's never had any seizures before. So, okay. But that was enough to kind of like put a little bit of a hole in their case, right? So then the jury goes back to deliberate. They come out and the judge is like, what's your verdict? They're like, we can't decide. It's a hung jury. And the judge was like, the fuck it is. In an unprecedented move, never seen this before, the judge looks at the jury and goes, I need you to get back in that room and decide what happened and come back out when you're done. Don't you dare come back out here until you have a decision. Go. And they were like, okay.
I love it.
I know. Which I'm like, I know that's very unethical and you shouldn't do it, but I kind of wish more judges did it. They're like, no, you can't decide. We were just here for weeks. I'm not doing this again.
Right.
Go do your job better. We've already done ours. So they go back, hang their heads, and they come back out and they're like, he did it. Death penalty. And the judge is like, that's fucking right.
That's what we were looking for.
Yeah. Thank you. You have done your job. Bye-bye. But the case doesn't stop there, though, because, of course, there is an appeal. And it continues to be an absolute mess. So I'm going to just read a little wiki roundup on these shenanigans. Quote, Kirwan was found guilty and sentenced to death, but this was commuted to life imprisonment and transportation, which means he has to go to like a prison colony, after appeals by reputable citizens because he did have his supporters, probably other men, who also would murder their wives if they had the chance. This included 10 doctors, rich gentleman men who would probably murder their wives if they had the chance. And they all stated that his wife's death was consistent with drowning. There are a lot, for me and for a lot of other people, there are a great many inconsistencies that leads to the fact that she was either strangulated or held underwater and then her body was kind of put on that rock. Because she's dry.
Right.
She's dry, but her hair is all loose. You could have just held her head underwater and the rest of her would be dry and her hair would be messed up and wet with seaweed in it.
Yeah.
If you're like fighting her to get her to the ground and then you hold her head underwater after you've fought her to get there and you're holding her head and therefore like she ended up breaking her nose and stuff because you're fighting to get her head down.
Right.
That's what it reads to me. Anyway.
And I feel like if I'm visualizing the place where she was found, if it had been, you know, because like it would have been, say, at most 2 hours or something, like it wouldn't have been hot enough at that point to like dry her clothes if she was just
probably not. I don't know exactly what the temperature is. But she's down, you know, sea level in a shady crevasse.
That's like how I'm picturing it. So
it wasn't sunny down there at all. Not at that part of night. I mean, I don't think it would have been. I don't know the exact angle of the sun, but it is like either side is a cliff.
Right.
So it's very curious. And she's on a rock that is now 6 foot out of the water. That's a lot of tide receding in the amount of time since she drowned. And it's very convenient that her body was in an inlet that feeds out into the ocean and ended up on a rock.
Yeah.
How did it get on that one rock? It would have just been sucked out to sea if she drowned there. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense that she was just perfectly splayed out on the rock. Unless somebody else was with her and fucking held her head underwater.
I don't know. It also doesn't make sense if she's dry.
Unless it's just her head. If you're sitting on this like little rock table in the water and you hang her head over the edge and you submerge her until she's drowned.
Yeah.
You pull her head back up and you just leave the rest of her there.
Yeah.
Done and done. Because I don't understand. The accident portion of it to me is like, I don't know how all of these things added up to her perfectly laid out on this rock.
Yeah.
Especially because if she had just got stranded out there, she would have laid on her back and floated or tread water. She would have been fine. Like, I don't want to be in the water for 3 hours without someone to save me, but I could if I had to be.
Right.
So anyway, that's what everybody else thinks. Anyway, back to the quotation. He was sent to the convict establishment laboring in the construction of the Royal Naval Dockyard. So he's got to do labor. But they sent him to do labor to Bermuda.
Okay.
A lovely, beautiful tropical island. There are other Irish convicts there, which is whatever, but most of them are like puffy rich boy convicts like him, and apparently also politician John Mitchell and a couple other bigwigs are sent there until the construction of barracks there were finished. But it's like a plush prison gig. It's nice there. The weather is warm and you don't really have to do too much if you're like him. Anyway, amongst the prisoners in Bermuda, the painter John Kirwan was there. This is, I guess, reports from the prison colony. He was sentenced to be hanged some years ago for the murder of his wife at Ireland's Eye near Dublin, but he was saved from the gibbet chiefly by the exertions of the Fourth Estate. So his appeal went through. His appeal was just to get him out of the death penalty. And it went through because of something called the Fourth Estate, which means that the court of public opinion had infiltrated the actual court. Basically, there was too much publicity and there was no way the jury could be impartial. It was just too widely publicized. So they were like, all right, I think you got a little carried away. We're just going to send him to Bermuda for a while, which is strange. Quote, but Kirwan maintained that he had no justice dealt to him, for that if he was guilty, he ought to have been hanged. But if he was innocent, he should have been set at liberty, which is true. Mm-hmm. He was not properly prosecuted for either outcome of his trial. They just kind of split the difference.
Yeah.
Which is very strange. Because if he did kill his wife, his sentence was to be hanged. That was what they did. But if he didn't, why was he in prison?
Right.
Quote, he has at all events been treated with great leniency, having never undergone much hard labor. A conveniently sore leg has been of great service to him. He has only been employed in light duties. For some time he was a clerk in the hospital at the fort, and as he had the good fortune to arrive during the old system, he will doubtless in a few years return to the bosom of that second wife, whom, as it turned out, he had married soon after the death of his first.
Oof.
Yeah, he just hung out. He was like, my leg hurts. I tripped on the island. And he didn't have to do any work because his leg hurt. Yeah, he was then freed in 1879. Back to his second wife, who took him back, and they may have emigrated to the United States. We're not sure. So we may have their 7 children, 8 children. I don't know.
Wild.
Yeah, isn't that really weird? And the funny thing about this case is the sketch of the sunset that he drew when he was out on the island that day is like his only known piece of artwork. That and a drawing of his wife. Those are the only things anybody ever talks about. You can see the sunset that he drew while he was out there. Like, I was doing this, so I couldn't possibly have been murdering. That did survive.
Right.
And a portrait of Maria. But other than that, he was not like great at drawing pretty things.
Man.
But yeah, that is the story.
Wow.
Yeah, I was surprised there's no ghost in this story.
I know.
Her angry ghost has got to be out there.
Yeah.
I don't have any stories
long hole.
I know. I don't have any stories that end with like, and her spirit floats over the inlets, but it must.
Mm-hmm.
People, get better. I need you to.
I mean, I guess one of those sea creatures could have gotten her.
But that's okay. So back around to that.
And then they placed her up on the.
Yeah, that's the defense he should have gone for.
Yeah.
Because if he didn't do it, let's just live in a world where he didn't do it. This man got falsely accused. Mm-hmm. How did she end up there?
Yeah.
Because like I said, like there's, to me, looking at how she was found and the damage done to her body, it just feels like there is no way in that short amount of time, between 6 and 9, she ended up in the water, drowned, beat around on a rock, tide went out, body dried, and then found.
Yeah.
That feels impossible unless an evil sea spirit got her and threw her on the rock.
Real.
And then that's the only other possibility in my mind. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think? Which one do you think did it if it was one of the sea spirits?
Probably the Dovaku.
The otter guy?
Yeah.
He's the most violent, I think.
Let's see.
Or maybe a jealous mermaid.
Because he would have like left her body like off to the side. Yeah.
So then there you go. The only other explanation lies in one of the sea creatures for the week.
Mm-hmm. And he could have been like scared off too with like the people calling her name out.
Oh yeah.
So like he may have like wanted to eat her, but
well, she had lots of scratches.
Yeah.
and one bigger wound by her chest.
Mm-hmm. So that could have been it.
And they heard them screaming and running, and he was like, I gotta go. This isn't worth it.
Yeah.
And I'll go eat one of them seals.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
That definitely could be it.
Okay. Well, they should have done their folklore.
Or if it was the
research.
Vua, and she just didn't know that she was supposed to, like, do the sign of the cross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those are as possible an explanation as she just accidentally drowned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because if it was the Kelpie, it would have just been a liver.
Gross. And she was clearly more than a liver.
Yeah.
And we did have eventually an autopsy done. So we know she had her liver. So there you go. Yeah. Interesting. All right.
Okay. So that's the Dovaku in case you need that.
Okay. I'm going to keep note. Stay away from those guys. Don't go swimming alone in an eerie little channel in Ireland. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
It's not safe.
Mm-mm.
You really shouldn't. Especially if you have like a weird husband who has an entire second life that he's living.
Then definitely don't do it.
And to be fair, he says in many different places that his wife knew all about this mistress. Everybody else in the world that knew her was like, she absolutely did not. She did not know about this at all. She didn't know that you had another woman and 8 children.
Right.
100%. And I am inclined to believe that she didn't know. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know that having like men fooling around back then was a little bit more common, but having that many children with a woman and spending all of your time with a whole second family, that's very different.
So many children.
It's a lot. And he was giving her shit for not having any kids.
Yeah.
Remember, that's what they thought about, that she wasn't giving him kids. Well, you have a shit ton of kids elsewhere.
Well, but if they did fight, like maybe that's what...
But his thing was like he really was desperate to be a father. Fuck you, you're a father already.
Right.
Many times over.
Right.
And you're telling your wife, like, I need you to make me a father.
Yeah. I'd be interested what their fights were about. Especially if she did know. Because they could still be fighting about that. But it could be like...
I don't think, I mean, there is absolutely no indication in any of the people she knew or like any of her documents.
I mean, she could be very sweet, but also no.
Oh, and the other fucked up part is that in his appeal, her mother defended him. She didn't say her daughter knew. She wasn't like, oh, she knew he had a mistress. All she said was, I have no reason to assume that he hurt my daughter. He was always very nice. That is her mother. Can you imagine? I would be like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I don't care what you were. My daughter's dead.
But like, did he look battered? You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of, so this is what, like, nobody talks about what he really looked like.
There's no reports of it. But also, conveniently, he fell down, go boom.
Right.
He tripped and fell. So anything that was wrong with him, he could say was because he fell. And a lot of people say that fall was, 1, him just like, kind of fucking himself up. And 2, him delaying it. Because he was like, if I make it take longer, it will be darker and they won't find her.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely what I thought at first he was doing. But
if he's beat up at all, he could just say whatever it was the fall he took. And then they ran ahead of him, so he could have fallen again.
Yeah. Because that's the only thing. Like, there would be, I feel like he'd have marks on him.
He also had that cane out there with him.
Yeah.
And she had a wound in her chest. He could have come up on her and, like, stabbed her and then, like, threw her to the ground.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, I definitely think he killed her.
Yeah. I guess it does suck that there's no, like, write-up about how he looked.
No smoking gun. No, because they were right after it happened, the police examiner was like, you're right, she drowned, goodbye. So no one looked at anything.
But even the like housekeeper or the property
they
owner,
weren't with him. They had to wash the body and then he was gone.
Yeah. Well, when they saw him first.
He was screaming at them.
Yeah.
He was screaming at them to wash his wife's body and pushing a dead body in the door.
But the ship guys were with him for a while. You know what I mean?
They were.
That boat, like.
But I'd also argue with them that those men just found a dead body.
Yeah.
That's not what they thought their day was going to look like.
Yeah.
And they were just trying to like kind of hold it together. And also they might be beat up. And the other thing is they all had to climb down this rock face to get her.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have scratches and bruises, it could be from going down to get her and carrying her back up out of it.
Yeah.
There are any number of places where he could have become a little like scratched up.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So. I mean, the side family.
Yeah. That really does it in. I know. And like he gets back from his trip and he's like, well, bring in the new wife immediately. Yeah. Like, no, her freaking seat is still warm and he's bringing in the mistress and all her kids.
And he was hiding when they came to get him.
Mm-hmm. And they just redid the house.
Yeah.
So his new wife got new things.
Yeah.
She got to come into not his old wife's stuff. It was all brand new. For the new family.
Yeah.
To me, it feels very planned, but
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And he waited until the house was done. The day they were going to come back.
Right.
That's when she dies. The day that they're done.
Right.
Because he's like, oh, I can just go back. Everything is done. My house is totally different. So none of it is like reminds me of my wife or is my wife's stuff. I can bring in my new family into the new house and I'm done. Yeah. Feels like a plan to me.
Yeah. Yeah, you right. Right.
Toast. Goodness gracious. I guess to poor Maria, obviously.
Maria.
Strong swimmer, pretty girl. Bad luck. Shit husband.
Yeah.
I should say. And to the fucking women, the landlady and those two women that came to wash her body that would not shut up about it.
Yeah.
They refused to accept that she just drowned. They knew it was wrong. They knew something happened to her and they did not want to sit there and just like let it pass.
Yeah.
So cheers to them.
Cheers. All right.
Any other cheers we need to make?
Well, I feel like Patrick.
Yes.
He huffed and he puffed.
He did. Cheers to Patrick. And all the other swimmers he had saved. Think about that.
I know.
He's like a stand-up guy.
It's like, this is where they go.
I hope he never found another dead body as long as he lived.
Poor Patrick.
Hope it was just smooth sailing and vacation people.
Yeah.
Or he was like, I'm not doing that no mo. I'm going to retire from ferrying.
Wonder if any, like the next young couple that was like, we're going to stay here.
He was like, stay away from the hole.
Yeah. Stay away from the hole. You come back on the next boat.
You're coming back before 8 o'clock, you hear?
Yeah.
He pushed it back a little. He's like, no, too dark.
He gives everyone a watch.
He's like, here. When the sun is here, you need to be here. Or I will leave you. I will not see another dead body.
Yeah.
And there are mythic creatures that might eat you.
There are.
Anywho.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So I guess that's all of our St. Paddy's mythology.
It is.
And if we went night swimming in water that could be filled with mythical beasts, we would be dead.
Or maybe turned into fae and living under the water.
Not dead. We would just be living under the water with the fairies. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Happy St. Paddy's Day!
Bye!
Thank you for listening to the We Would Be Dead podcast. Hit subscribe now to never miss an episode. Rate and review our show on iTunes. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Would Be Dead Pod. And join our Facebook group to discuss the podcast and more.
Don't go swimming alone in an eerie little channel in Ireland.
Don't
do it.
Don't do it.
It's not safe.
Mm-mm.
You really shouldn't.